Now just sticking or confining our lecture, we will be starting with discussion about highway alignment. Okay. Now you all must have heard this term, or if not, it might be also your first time at what is an highway alignment. So let's start with it. Alignment is nothing but whatever road you see or roads you have traveled up till now, all roads have some particular width. Okay, it might be a 3.5 meter, it might be double lane 7 meter, or it can be multiple lanes, 4 lanes, 6 lane, even 8 lanes in some cases. So whatever is the width of the road, if you mark the center line of that width, okay, so that center line is nothing but the alignment, what we call it in technical terms. So the center line or the position or layout of center line for an highway on ground is nothing but your alignment, and that is termed as the highway alignment. Now it might seem very straightforward that what we have to do in alignment, we have to just mark it on the field. It is a center line, whatever you mark it on the both the sides of the alignment, you will be getting the road width. Okay, but it's not that simple. You have to consider a lot more of factors while plotting this line, because once you have plotted this line, or once you have finalized this alignment, then if you go on changing anything from that point onwards, so it will directly result into a lot more of overruns in case of you have to design, might be some more technical specifications or some more design aspects for some structure, or there may be a cost overrun. So slight mistake while deciding or finalizing this alignment will cause you a lot in your project. So that you have to be very sure of. Now this alignment, it includes both the aspects, the alignment as in the vertical and the horizontal. The horizontal alignment is nothing but the way we move along the road on the highway. So we move in horizontal plane. So whatever turns we take, okay, left turn, right turn, so that constitutes to the horizontal alignment. And whatever ups and downs are there in your highways, okay, so those ups and downs are due to the vertical alignment. So alignment broadly you can classify in two parts, horizontal and vertical. Now, as I told you, if your alignment is improper, or by mistake, unknowingly also, if you have neglected some of the parameters while finalizing this alignment, so this small correction that is required, the correction may be small from your point of view, but it will cause one or of these factors. If you try to rectify that correction, though you are rectifying it before actual opening of the highway to the traffic, or you are implementing it after the traffic is opened on the highway, in both the cases there is lot much of a cost overrun in terms of the construction cost if you are rectifying your alignment during construction, and if you are rectifying your alignment post construction, so that will definitely again the construction cost plus the maintenance cost will be added to that parameter. Improper alignment, if unknowingly you have made some mistake in your alignment, so that, and if you have not corrected it, okay, suppose you never realize that this is the error that we had made during the designing of alignment, and it has gone the same way ahead, it has been sanctioned and it has been overlooked by all the authorities who are supposed to check your alignment, and it has been constructed, and after construction also nobody has came to know, or nobody has pointed out that this is the flaw in the alignment, so that will result in increase in the vehicle operating cost and the accident rate for sure. This you can very well see. India is major one of the major areas, or you can say major hub, where accidents, road accidents specifically, they take place a lot. It's already gaining rankings, it's I guess in top 3 or so. So Many a times when you hear this news that there has been an accident, particularly on a highway, so there has to be a detailed investigation for this accident. And if that is done, so from that, there might be some of the conclusions that the alignment was improper. Okay. So that's a very disastrous thing to happen because you have misjudged or you have overlooked some of the parameters while planning your alignment. Okay. So make sure when you are given this job of plotting an alignment or designing an alignment, either it may be vertical or horizontal. So make sure none of this construction cost, maintenance cost, vehicle operating cost, and accident rate, none of this will take place in your designed alignment. Okay. Now, one term that is new to you, that is vehicle operating cost. Now, from the name itself, you can very well judge what is an vehicle operating cost. It is exactly as what it sounds. It is the cost which is required for a particular vehicle. If you consider, suppose a two-wheeler or a car or a truck or any vehicle which is using that highway. So what is the cost for that vehicle to operate on that highway? So the very first, it has a lot of components in it. So the first and foremost component that will come to your mind is the fuel. Okay, so that is the major component of the vehicle operating cost. Then you can also say the maintenance. So the maintenance cost is also covered under vehicle operating cost. Okay, the small wear and tear or replacement of your parts, so that is also covered under vehicle operating cost, and a lot more miscellaneous parameters are covered under vehicle operating cost. Now, just sticking or confining ourselves to the course that we are studying, transportation engineering, you don't have a lot more of a detail in this vehicle operating cost. You just have this term. If you suppose opt for advanced transportation engineering, so there definitely you will be learning this term in detail. So for now, from this slide, just what you have to take is highway alignment designing is a very serious aspect of a highway construction of a highway project, and no way you can ignore any small deviation or any small detail. You should not overlook it to avoid any of the overruns in your cost or any of the fatalities in case or in terms of accidents. Okay. Now, having said that, then there should be a question in your mind that what is ideal alignment? If you do not want your alignment to cause any of the problems that I have mentioned in the earlier slide, so ideally how it should be? What do you think? Just think over it. Whatever are your answers, you can just type in the chat box and let me know. From your point of view or your perspective, if you are given a job of designing an alignment, or in layman's terms, if you are given the job of connecting city A to city B, so what will be your take, or how will you decide that alignment, or what do you think that ideally A and B, it should be connected in what ways? So just think over it, and in a few seconds, just type your answers in the chat box. What should be the ideal alignment, or what do you think are the parameters considered in an ideal alignment? Anything that you may feel, you can write it down. Okay. One, now responses, I'll just read it. Amarnath is saying it's balance, cutting and filling. Very well. Then Naneshwar is saying the distance should be the parameter that should be considered. Yes. Less cost, high design speed. Okay. Deepak has given pretty well all the answers. Short, straight and economical. Okay. Zero error. Correct. As straight as possible. Yeah, that's also true. Okay. Now, ideally, all the answers are correct, that an ideal alignment should have all these characteristics that few of you have mentioned. Connecting more places. Okay, that will also will be seen. So if you look upon the basic requirement, how an ideal alignment should be, so the first and foremost requirement is obviously that you are connecting two cities or two locations which are at a distant places or at some distance from each other. So the alignment, whatever you decide, it should be short. Okay, it should be as short as possible. So if it's short, obviously your vehicle operating cost will be short. You will be taking less time to cover, and the users will be happy. Okay. The next thing that you have to see while keeping your alignment ideal, it should be easy. Easy in the sense it should be easy from the point of view of the constructor or the contractor who is constructing that highway. That it should be easy to construct and maintain. And from the road users point of view, the vehicles which are operating on these roads or on this alignment, they should not face any difficulty. Many of times you might have traveled some of the roads, or especially in hilly areas, it is said that some of the roads in hilly areas, they are very risky, or there are more prone to accidents. And so one of the reasons for that might be the alignment. The alignment is not proper. Okay? But ideally, your alignment should be such that your vehicles operating on that road, they should not feel any kind of discomfort while traveling, and especially on the curves and the gradient part. So the second requirement for the basic requirement for ideal alignment is the easiness of that alignment. The third and the foremost, I will say, though it's coming third in the sequence, but this should be the top priority for any of the designer, that whatever alignment you design, whether it may be in a plain road or a plain region or a hilly region or a moderate region with a moderate terrain, your alignment should be safe. It should be safe during construction, and it also be safe during operation period. Not just that during construction it is causing zero accidents, so it is safe. It should also cause zero accidents during its operation period. Now, obviously, as a designer, we cannot take the full responsibility that whatever alignment I am designing, there will be zero accidents. But at least we should be in the position to give such a surety that whatever accidents are happening on in the highway that you have designed, none of the accidents or zero accidents are due to error in the alignment. There are many other reasons which you have very well studied in the audit course of road safety management, that what are the reasons for road accidents. So one of that reason is improper design of alignment. So make sure whenever you design it, your alignment should be such that it is causing zero accidents. And the last and foremost again point, from the point of view or perspective of an engineer, the alignment should be economical ideally. And economical in the sense, its total cost should be economical, and that total cost includes again various parameters: construction of that facility or highway, maintenance, and the vehicle operating cost. So overall the total cost, it should be economical. But this is an important point that I have written here, or these three words: without compromising the safety. Now, many of times you might also face this dilemma while you are designing the alignment, that the client demands more economical design. And in that perspective, we go on economizing the design, and unknowingly we somewhere compromise with the safety aspect. Okay? So always remember that should never happen in your case. Whenever you are designing any alignment for any type of road for any client, never ever you should compromise on safety aspect. So these four are the basic requirements if you have to plan an alignment ideally. Okay. Now we all know the world is not ideal. We do not live in an ideal world. No one is. So obviously these 4 points or the 4 basic requirements that I just told you, maybe sometimes you have to let go some of the requirement. So amongst these four requirements of the alignment being short, easy, safe, and economical, which one do you think as an engineer you can compromise on? Obviously due to constraints, not knowingly, but there are some constraints on site. There are never ideal conditions on site that we study in theory. So if there are no ideal conditions on site, which of these four parameters do you think you can compromise so that your alignment still it functions properly whenever you are constructing it? So one answer is okay. Sumedh is saying it should be the short aspect that we can compromise on. Okay, for it's possible in most of the cases that you have some constraints on site, and that's why you cannot give a ideal alignment. But to satisfy those constraints or to overcome those constraints, you can compromise this short aspect. One of the students, Naneshwar, is saying economical, you can think upon it. Now, economy aspect, you can compromise it only if your client is happy with it. Okay. At the end, if you are a private or if you are a consultant and you are designing an alignment for somebody else, and that somebody else is your client, so obviously he will be paying or he will be constructing that facility that you have designed with the money that he is investing. So if your client is okay that you are compromising on the economical aspect, then it will be a win-win situation for both of you. But most of the times what we see all over the world, it's not only true for India, anywhere in the world, the economy aspect is a bit wherever you tell your client that okay, I need to do these changes in your alignment so that it overcomes the constraints on site, but your cost will be increasing by suppose 50 lakh or 1 crore or so. So the first question from your client comes is, can't you fit everything in the cost which was there before the correction? Okay, so as an engineer, that is a challenge for you, that you have to satisfy everything. You have to satisfy the constraints that are there on site, you have to satisfy the demands of your clients, and at the same time you have to make sure your alignment is proper. So why I asked this question is, there are some factors which control this alignment. I told you that we are not living in an ideal world, so obviously we cannot satisfy all the four requirements of ideality. We cannot be short, easy, safe, and economical, all four at the same time. But why we can't be all four at once? Because there are some factors which will prevent us from making an ideal alignment. So we'll be looking upon those factors now. So I just listed them where we will be discussing it one by one. The first is the obligatory point. The second is the traffic that is flying on your highway. The third is the geometric design. This is actually the design part that you will be doing for your alignment. The fourth is the economics. And other than this, there are some other considerations which vary from site to site. Those control your alignment. Okay. Now, if you look at the title, I have given factors controlling the alignment. Generally, if you see the correlation, whenever you have seen this word factors, generally you have seen in the sense factors affecting something. Okay. But in case of alignment, it's used as these are the factors which control that alignment. Okay, they do not affect, they control. Means if you overlay these factors, your alignment is bound to be going in the wrong direction, or instead of direction, I would say it is not serving the purpose for which it is intended to. Okay, so these are the factors that will control your alignment. First factor is obligatory points. Now, obligatory points, they are such points on your alignment or nearby your alignment which will cause your alignment to go either in one direction or the other. So in that we have two categories. Obligatory points, one set of points are such that the points through which your alignment is supposed to pass, or it should pass rather. So what are such points? If you see in the figures, I have given 3 examples. The first example is you are traveling or your alignment is going through a hilly area. Okay. Now you can, if you read contours very well, these contours what you see on the top side, okay, so these are increasing as you go away. So obviously it's a hill. Okay. The peak is somewhere here, it's a peak, and here you have a lower elevation. Similarly on the right hand side, again if you see, this is the contour for 330 meter and this is 360, and again it is increasing on this side. So here you have a peak. So obviously, if you recall a little bit of geology, engineering geology that you have studied, so this area becomes the saddle point. It is the lower elevation point between the two peaks. Okay. So ideally, if you see, you have to keep your alignment straight and short. So suppose I have to join this point A and point B. So ideal alignment would be connecting it with directly a straight line. That's a most ideal thing that you have to do. It will be short as well as it will be easy in a few aspects. It will be easy from the user aspect, that the user don't have to take a long turn around the hill and reach B. But the easiness aspect will be compromised from the construction point of view, because what you have to do is you have a hill, okay, with a rising gradient on this side. Obviously you have to make way, either you have to cut that hill or you have to make a tunnel out of it. So obviously if you go for the first aspect, that you have to cut the hill, so there will be a lot more issues, environmental issues, economical issues, because the cost of the cutting will be very high and you need to dump that material somewhere, and might be you don't have the alignment which has that much filling. If you again go for tunnel, again the economy will be hampered. So if you see, in this case itself, the 4 ideal alignment specifications or requirements that we have seen, if you try to satisfy one, the other gets compromised. So coming back to the obligatory point, so obligatory point in this case will be you have to go through or around a hill. Okay, so this point will become the obligatory point, the saddle point. It is the obligatory point that your alignment has to pass through that point. There is no other way. In the second diagram that you see, it's a bridge location. Okay, so this is the course of the river, if you consider, okay, and it is taking a turn here, okay, on this part. In geological sense or in terms of water resources, you call it as a meandering portion where your river meanders. And again, you have to join 2 points A and B, and these 2 points, they are on the either side of the banks. Now ideally it would be that, again keeping the first basic requirement of ideality, it should be short and straight, so just join it with a straight line. But now there is a problem. If you join it with a straight line, the alignment, it crosses through this curved portion on the meandering portion. And as a thumb rule, always, you must have seen this many a times in the bridges also, that many a times a bridge, the approach of the bridge is of this type, what you see in this diagram, that you have to take a 90-degree turn almost, and then you cross a river which has a bridge over it. Now why this is given, or why such type of arrangement is given? There is a rule, thumb rule, that whenever possible we have to cross a water body. The road should cross a water body. If this is the road, so the road should cross the water body at 90 degree, and it should cross the water body where it is having the minimum width and almost a confirmed channel width. Okay, by that what I mean, when we go on this meandering portion, this meandering itself occurs because this area or this section of the river, it is prone to erosion and deposition. Okay, there is erosion on one bank of the river and deposition on the other bank. So due to that, this shape of the river is meandered. So if this is the course of the river, we never know if we build a bridge over here, and if suppose we put foundations here, today, and if suppose the river tomorrow it starts meandering like this more, okay, so what will happen, this foundation that we had built here, it was abutment at first, but now it has gone into water, and then it will not serve the purpose for which it was served. Maybe the design will be short, or it will be inadequate to serve the purpose of the structure as a pier. So in that case, now this becomes an obligatory point that you have to cross the river only at, or maybe mostly at the sections where you have a straight stretch of the river. Okay. So this is our second obligatory point. And the third thing that I have shown here in the third diagram is you have to connect an intermediate town. Now, one of the students, she told that as many as places you can connect, that will be very better or efficient alignment that you can have. So you have to connect two locations, A and B, and obviously the ideal thing is to just connect it with the straight line. It will be straight and short and easy, but just on one side of that alignment that you are planning to plot, there is a small town C, okay, not very far, you can say maybe a 100-meter or so, okay, or 100 or 200-meter. So now obviously if you are connecting these two cities or towns, if you have a small town which is any, you cannot neglect that town, so it's always better to take that town into the alignment. Okay, so that's what is shown in this top figure, that the alignment has been changed from A, they have gone to C, and then they have reached B. Okay, so this is the alignment that they have followed. So this becomes an obligatory point that you have to pass your alignment through C because it is very near to your straight alignment. Okay, so this is one part of obligatory points, that the points through which your alignment should pass. There is whole lot other set of obligatory points. Those are the points through which your alignment should never pass. Okay, I have written should not pass. Should not means it should never pass. Okay, and you will come to know the reasons, or you will understand the reasons yourself when you read the points, that your point should never alignment should never pass through religious structure or a historical monument or an unsuitable land such as a marshy or a waterlogged area or any water body. Okay, just one example I've given here, that you have a lake. So instead of going over the lake, okay, it's very foolish and uneconomical and wrong from any point of view to cross a lake using a bridge. Okay, so in that case you have to go around the lake, there is no other option. So this becomes an obligatory point that you cannot pass through this lake. Okay. Similarly, there are examples wherein your highway is very well set up, you have done all the survey, and somewhere in between you have some religious structure. Okay, generally highway, what we plan or what we design, those are through open areas. As much as possible, we try to keep the land acquisition minimum. But in between, you may find some structures, religious structure, which you cannot relocate. Okay, so for sure you cannot go through those structure. You have to take a little bit of detour. Same goes the case for historical monuments. And in case of unsuitable land, the land itself is altogether not suitable for bearing the foundation of the road or whatever bridge or flyover you are going to construct on your highway. Okay, so the land itself is unsuitable. It might be a marshy, waterlogged, it can be very sandy soil or a black cotton soil, what we particularly find in central India. So if that's the case and you cannot replace that soil, so it's better to go around that part of land. Okay, so these form the obligatory points through which your alignment should not pass. So we'll stop here for today. In the next session, today we have covered this first factor which controls alignment, that is obligatory point. In the next, we'll be starting with the traffic aspect, another very important but sadly neglected aspect as far as planning of an alignment or a highway is concerned. So we'll be seeing that in the next lecture.